selection it has been. A beautiful week, I've got to say, all the way from the Premier Division and getting into the Nedbank Cup. Welcome to it. Welcome to Fut-Afrique channel. My name is Mofokeng. I'm joined today by a man that has won the trophy already. Talking about the Nedbank Cup that kicked off on Tuesday. Timothy Batabaire, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brian, for having me. It's great and a pleasure to be here.
Listen, when you talk about the Nedbank Cup, it's a trophy you won way back in 2010, the official opening of the FNB Stadium ahead of the 2010 FIFA World Cup. What a team that was in 2010 when you played for Pitso Mosimane.
It's one of the best teams assembled by Coach Roger Disa and Eric Tinkler.
Yeah.
There's a history behind that team.
Tell us about that history.
The team that won the 2010 Nedbank Cup was predominantly the players that were not partaking in the first team.
So I'm up in a plus. Fringe players.
Fringe players.
Yeah.
So in that moment, the fringe players always, which is the history of football, fringe players or second team players always beat the first team players in training. It is proved.
Yeah.
But in a way, you are not getting yourself into the first team.
Yeah.
So we had the likes of Virakazi, the striker. And then we had a chat of discussion with Coach Roger Disa. We said, listen, there is that first team. Let's be in this second team. Let's us play the Nedbank Cup, and then the other team continue with the league games.
Yeah.
And in a way, I think Coach Roger bought the bait, and he said, okay, that's fine. Let's see what you have got, guys. So we assembled the first team, the first game. It was a hell of a game in Durban. Most players had not been playing, and it was, I don't even remember the score, but it was a very high score.
Yeah.
Rained out, and eventually we triumphed. So we came back, so like, some of you guys, you want to say you can play, but it was a poor showing, but the result counted. We managed to go to the next round. So the team grew, but then the first team wasn't playing well. They were losing. We said, guys, in the first team, don't come to the second team. Remain in your first team. We continue. So the likes of Mark Haskins, we had Maram Bantam, Francis Chansa, the crazy one, my good friend. So that was a team that went on. And I think when we went to play Free State Stars, it was in Potchefstroom.
Let's take it back. I remember the team because I covered the tournament. It was my first, one of my first years as a commentator.
Really?
After the 2010 FIFA World Cup. Because I covered the 2010 FIFA World Cup.
Yeah.
Building up to the 2010 FIFA World Cup, we had these matches building up to the World Cup itself.
True.
As part of the Confederations Cup that I played a year before. The World Cup was coming up in 2010 and it was going to start at the FNB Stadium. So building up to the final, I remember I covered the first game.
Yeah.
Atli FC,
Yes.
the team you played.
Yes, true.
We won the game by 3-2. 2-2 it was after regulation time.
True.
They took you all the way. That year.
It was crazy rain that came down, I think,
Yeah.
when it was 2-2.
Yeah.
And at that moment, it was like, are we going to lose this game because we were leading? They from behind, they were coming, equalized. And we were lucky, surely we were very fortunate to take, the victory. And that's when belief kicked in to know that at least we can go and win the trophy.
Yeah. The game against Tanda Royal Zulu was another interesting one. 4-1 the final score in that game. This was another crazy game for you guys.
It was very crazy, but we were so motivated. I remember vividly, I had a 7-month contract because when Roger convinced me to get back into the country and play for the team, it was that moment I was like, should I continue with football? Should I go for my masters? Because it was that moment where it was rumored that I was wanted by Chiefs, and Chiefs was like, okay, we want you, everything like that.
Yeah.
I was supposed to go to Switzerland, did not come about. I think by that time Celtic had reported and written in kickoff that I've got another 2-year contract running, which was not true at that moment in time. So it was all chaotic. So I went back to Uganda. I was with the national team. I think 6 or 7 games had already been played into the league already. My representative then, Mr. Benjamin Nkatu, called me and says, listen, I think I can organize something with you, with Roger. I spoke to Coach Roger. We had coffee and said, listen, nothing much is left of the budget, but I think you can try to play and lead the kids into getting to mature. I came through, made the likes of Caddy, the vibe, Vets was more like a family.
Yeah.
I love the whole idea. He says, what do you have for 7 months? So this Nedbank Cup was like rekindling my passion for the game of football.
Yeah.
And in that tournament, I had to prove that I wanted another contract. Luckily enough, I got what I wanted.
Yeah. I mean, for those who are joining us for the first time, do subscribe and let's get involved. It's a conversation we're going to have regularly, talking about the beautiful game locally, internationally, everything, right here on the Fut-Afrique channel. Chatting today with Timothy Batabaire. He has won 2 trophies. I don't want to talk about Makufe Cups and the other ones, Telkom Charity. I want to talk about the key trophies. You won the SAA Super 8 way back in 2005, defeating Super Sport United. You had a good relationship with Pitso Mosimane, by the way, before you won the trophy. We'll get back to the Nedbank Cup. Let's talk about that moment. You in a country playing against a man you call your mentor, the man that you say is a father figure for you of how you get into South Africa.
Listen, there's a long history. I can say I'm a son of Pitso Mosimane.
Yeah. Amongst many. I mean, I know.
No, those ones.
I've gotten advice from him plenty of times.
Those ones coming from Super Sport Sundowns may not know how much some of us we value him. So
yeah.
It was that moment when I was looking for a defender who can replace the likes of Gaetano Temba.
Yeah.
So with my then agent Ivka Stankovic, they were looking through the clips which players they look at, and in that moment, Ivita presented my clip playing for Sports Club Villa then in Uganda.
Yeah.
I'm like, who is this guy? And that's how Pitso says, I want Timothy. I think we're going to play Burkina Faso, flew in here for a few days, had a training session. It's like, I need this guy back. So that is the story of how I came into the country. So when I went back for the national team, I think Celtic came over to play a friendly game with Super Sport United. The owner of Celtic, Flamboyant Jima Agosti, requested Pitso if he can recommend a few of players to help him maintain Celtic in the PSL, not to be relegated. And unselfishly, without any second thought, Pitso recommended me to go over to Celtic. So when my agent told me, I said, no, listen, I came for trials at Supersport. I want to play for Pitso Mosimane because he even picked me up. He used to pick me up every morning from my agent's place to go for training. So in the car, we could have those conversations. He could have all those radio interviews during our drive to Pretoria for training. We had coffee. Into a discussion should be like, yeah, you'll surely be a passport player. So going forward, it was surprising that then I'm getting into myself into Celtic. But he said, go to Celtic, I'll be able to get you back from Celtic.
Yeah.
When I got my contract at Celtic, started playing, it was difficult to price me away from Celtic because the owners could not let me go out of Celtic.
I remember you had a nickname that was called Mr. 90 Minutes No Mistake. That was what Silondona gave you as a nickname there. So we're not profiling you today. We've done your profile already. You just had to go back and just have the nostalgic moment about where you came from and how you ended up being here as part of the Bidvest team. So you won the 2005 SA Super 8, defeating Super Sport United in the final 1 at Olympic Park Stadium. Move on to become part of Bidvest. You become part of the Mama Bene Plus, the surplus to requirement players. And then you win, you get to the quarterfinals, win against Ubuntu Cape Town. Now the game I want to talk about is a game in the semi-finals against Free State Stars. Now, I was looking at the lineup of the team. Francis Chancellor in goal. You had Mgome Zulu part of the team. Michael Morton was there. Zuli was part of the team. You had Chabangu there. You were part of the center, the defending four. You had Spuso Matlangu part of the team.
Yeah.
You had Siso Mieni there.
Yeah.
Rodriguez, the Brazilian, was part of the team. And then Mark Haskins came off the bench in that game on the 74th minute. You had Marawan Banta. You also had Spuso Vilagazi amongst the players in the squad.
Yeah.
So you play against Free State Stars.
In Potchefstroom.
In that game.
Yes.
Tell us, let's relive that moment. I mean, how you eventually overcame Free State Stars to get to the final.
It was very interesting, actually, talking about Mark Haskins coming from the bench. He was partly injured, but the technical team felt good to say, we're going to put him on the bench where need be, he comes in.
Yeah.
I think he must be keeping that video because when he came in, there's something crazy.
Yeah.
His footwork on the ball, the things he does on the ball, many people did not see them. All of us could always see them week in, week out, day and every day on training.
Yeah.
On that day, he did one to one of the defenders. It's not good to be a defender, I can tell you. And he scored the goal. And this was a game, no one gave us a chance, actually. They thought Free State was going to have a day with us. But we believed in ourselves. We managed to win that game. And for us, that was the belief that we were going to go in. At that moment in time, Coach Roger Disa now started incorporating in some of the first team players so that we win the championship. By that time, the owner of Vets, that is Brian Jovi, now started believing that he wants a cup.
Yeah.
The coaches now started believing they also want a cup. Yeah. Looking at the teams left in that time, semi-finals going to the finals, you could see that the likes of Chiefs, Sundowns, Pirates, they're not there. So everybody could smell the coffee that the cup is there for the taking.
Yeah.
And that was the game. We had to win that game to make sure that we beat the likes of, I think it was Cape Town Spurs anyway, something like that.
Yeah.
To get onto the finals.
I mean,
we won.
You played Free State Stars and then you won the game with Free State Stars. Now let's go now to FNB Stadium. Okay, FNB Stadium, we're playing in a game. The venue's been open officially on the day, 22nd of May, 2010. Here you are up against Amazulu. Then the president of South Africa was His Excellency Jacob Zuma. Then there was massive dinner lined up for the winners of the trophy.
Oh, yes.
Did everybody expect you to win, or were they thinking Amazulu was going to walk away with this
Not
one?
even the media believed that we could win the championship. A dinner was organized in honor of Amazulu.
Before the final?
Before the finals.
Yeah.
Getting to the dressing room, even before the dressing room, we are listening to this media interview with some players of Amazulu. They are always giving this, Mkonza. These people are giving interviews in line that they're already champions.
Center.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's some attention to detail that always Coach Eric Tinkler gave. He could come up with all these clips showing our potential, how we came en route to the finals. And there was a massive build-up to the country that, listen, the 2010 World Cup is coming around the corner. Had already been,
Let's get to the final, team. I know you're going to narrate the whole story about how you eventually had breakfast with Pap and before Let's get to the story.
Yeah.
What happened on a day, then eventually win by 3-0. I mean, Chansa scored a goal, Mbuyane scored a brace on a day, Roger Disa and everybody celebrate. The magnitude of the game itself, Nedbank Cup final.
Yeah.
When you look at the teams that are playing at the moment, because when I talk about the matches that are coming up,
and
the match already played in the Nedbank Cup, what does that mean to you, Nedbank Cup?
Look, it's great. I was one of the few players that had been in the finals before, not only in this country, but even in my home country, Uganda. So being in that platform or the national team, it was not phasing. So the responsibility was how to get the likes of Patrick Mpungwayo, Mnyeni, to believe that they can win the championship.
Yeah.
And for us, the most important thing was to rock up. Driving to the stadium, I think Pungwayo forgot something in the hotel. They had, to stop the bus, get the lead car to drive him back to the hotel to get, I think it was his playing boots. Those are nerves playing onto the players. And we get into the stadium like, guys, we need it. This is it. Remember, there was the belief that our names are going to be the annals of history somewhere in FNB Stadium, that were the players who inaugurated the opening of the stadium that's going to host the finals. That was motivation. Those are all the things that Eric Tinkler went into detail to try and get the players to believe that, listen, we need to be part of history. We have to be in the finals, opening the stadium, before the likes of Messi will be in the stadium. So that was what was going on. So the game comes on, it is highly packed. You have all these, Amazulu had very good pedigree players playing against us. So the aim was to make sure that we don't concede in the first half. We had the likes of Fabricio. It was one of the beautiful, beautiful goals to be scored. Once that game went on, it meant that Amazulu had to open up to try and come and find equalizer. Opening up meant that we go for the counter-attack to kill off the game, and that's how it transpired.
Let's talk about the tournament that is taking place. Sundowns already opening it up and winning by 6-1 against La Masia in their first game. 1-1 draw between SuperSport United and Cape Town City Football Club. SuperSport walking away victors on penalties. Highlands Park against Kukuni, also a draw. Kukuni winning on penalty. University of Pretoria defeating Cape Town Spurs. Now, let's talk about Cape Town Spurs. They are right at the bottom on the log standings, and they'll be looking to see how things are going to be going forward, and all of that. So let's do this, Tim. We're going to pack it a bit.
Yeah.
We'll come back in a minute. We're going to talk about the current. We've already spoken about what your generation did.
Yeah.
We'll talk about what the generation now have to do and what you can look forward to in the matches that are coming up. So stay tuned for that.